We are right in the middle of EXPCON, eXp Realty's National Real Estate Convention. And today I'm going to give you a recap of both days 2 and day 3. So let's get started. But before we do that, I want to remind you, from all of the most up-to-date information about eXp Realty, about real estate technology, real estate sales topics, positive mindset, and all the things you need to build a large, successful real estate career, be sure to hit the subscribe button and check back here regularly. Jason Dorsey was the keynote speaker for day 2, and let me tell you, he really brought the energy. Jason spoke about generational insights from baby boomers to Gen X to Gen Z to the millennials, and he was all about redefining how we think and define generations. And one of the most interesting topics that he covered, that at least that I thought was super interesting, was this idea or this concept around how the impact of COVID has really impacted different generations differently. You know, for instance, he talked about the fact that, you know, for some of the generations, they've been a lot more impacted by job loss and those types of things. You know, and he mentioned this idea of, you know, and it's commonly said, and it's a topic that you hear people say a lot, is that we're all in this together relative to the COVID pandemic and so forth. People say it a lot, you see it a lot. We are all in this together. And he said this quote, while it's super well intentioned, is just not true. Jason's research shows that every generation is having a very different experience during COVID. And as I said, it's true, we're all going through it, and yet we're all, really the commonality is we're all going through it at the same time. And that's a little bit of a different distinction from we're all in this together, because clearly there are impacts on some generations and some populations that aren't the same as everyone else. And one of them that he mentioned again was that some generations are experiencing job loss at much higher rates during COVID than others. Here's an interesting finding from his research. Over 1/3 of millennials plan to buy a home within the next 2 years. So for those of us in real estate sales, that's a pretty important thing to keep in mind and understand, is while we've known that the millennials were potentially a very large part of the home buying population, if you will, to know that over 1/3 of them plan to buy a home within the next 2 years is pretty impactful. So one of the things he mentioned was, if you're a real estate agent who works with millennials, he had a few tips he wanted to offer, the things that we needed to be thinking about when working specifically with millennials. So a couple of suggestions that Jason provided were, one, the millennial population, the millennial generation, believes that they're unique. I think we probably all do, but in particular the millennials have a belief around the fact that they are unique. And so when you begin to work with them, what you want to emphasize to them as their agent is that you're going to help them find a home that is unique for them. You need to use that terminology. We're going to find a home that's unique for you. It ties into their feeling of uniqueness and can really help build a connection there that will move things forward for you potentially. He also recommended that you send a video to confirm appointments as opposed to an email or even a text. I guess if you put the two together, the best way would be a video text, probably. But he definitely recommended that in terms of a way of communicating and confirming appointments. You know, the other thing he said was, when explaining the process to first-time home buyers, think millennials here a lot, that you start explaining, you know, teaching that process to them, beginning with the end and working backwards. They'll grasp the concept by explaining it better that way instead of starting from the beginning and working forward. That's just one of the things that came from his research. And finally, he said, don't ask for referrals from millennials. Don't use that terminology. Don't ask for referrals. He suggested that you reframe the question and you ask, do you have any friends that I can help? Commander Rorke Denver was the keynote speaker for day 3. He is, by the way, day 3 was in this recap. This isn't being published on that day. Day 3 was Veterans Day. So there was a perfect, this is a perfect way to start off the day. Rorke is a former Navy SEAL commander and now an author of a couple best-selling books titled Worth Dying For and Damn Few. And so his talk obviously tied in a lot to his military, his SEAL background, but the concepts certainly transferred over to business. And so one of the things he talked about was constantly improving your position His perspective was you always had to be constantly improving your position on the battlefield. And it certainly applies in business, in real estate for sure. And that concept, we need to always be improving our position in our battlefield, which is, for most of us, real estate sales. So always be improving your position on the battlefield. Someone asked him what was the number one thing he learned in SEAL training, and he learned that calm is contagious. Calm is contagious. He said he also learned panic is contagious. Popped into my mind when he was talking about that. I would add one of my own in there, is that I think enthusiasm is contagious. Calm is contagious, panic is contagious, enthusiasm is contagious. So what it really means is how you think and how you behave can very much be contagious. In the Q&A session, he was asked, what advice would you give someone that's trying to avoid pain? He said, don't avoid it. He said the hard things are where the growth is. I certainly believe there's so much truth in that. Hard things are where the growth is. He also added, we don't celebrate easy accomplishments. There's no big boom at the end of something that was super easy to do. We celebrate when we've accomplished something that's hard. That's where the growth is. So day 3 also brought an incredible lineup of breakouts for all over inside of the EXP world. There was the fast track for new agents, for mentors, the icon track, coaching, global. In all, there were 8 tracks, think paths, if you will, 8 tracks that agents could follow. There was so much content, so much value brought in all those sessions that it's impossible to break it all down here. This video would go on for hours if I tried to break down and analyze all of it. But I would tell you that one of the tracks, the mentorship track, is one that received a ton of great feedback and really brought a lot of value. This is a track that's targeted mostly for newer folks in the business. That mentorship program that EXP has, and the people that presented in all these tracks were part of that mentorship program to really help people get a quick start, a fast start, a solid foundational start in real estate. That track, by all accounts, brought a ton of value for people there. Both days 2 and 3 were so good. So be sure to subscribe to my channel. Check back here frequently for more updates. I'll be bringing you more recaps as EXPCON moves through the week and comes to a conclusion. There's a ton more value going to be dropped in the coming days, and so be sure to come back and check for that. So finally, if you'd like to learn more about what partnering with us at EXP might look like for you, click the link above where it says Agent Freedom Plan. That'll take you to a page which shows you a lot about what it looks like to partner with us. And there's also a link there where you can jump straight onto my calendar. Let's book an appointment. Let's set a time to talk. I'll take you through what that really looks like and see if that's something that might be a good fit for you. I'll talk to you next time.